Hello everyone. Good morning. Well, happy Saturday. We are going to continue our discussion with Rachel. Last week we talked about the pregnancy care, what she was eating, and she has two kids, and she's pregnant right now. So we're bringing stories from real people who are imbibing holistic health. So she is joining me in one about postnatal care. What happens after you deliver the baby, all the aspects of emotional health. Oh, there you are.
Hi,
Hi, how are you? Happy Saturday.
happy Saturday. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. Well, so I was just telling the viewers that we're going to talk about what happens after you deliver the baby, the emotional part, the diet part. I mean, there's so many different things. And you have two kids already, and you have taken the holistic health as your, you know, part of your family health. So, love to hear your viewpoint on all these things.
Yeah, so with postpartum care, a couple things I want to touch on is the physical, but the emotional is so huge because with my
Yeah.
first child, I definitely was not warned about the emotional toll that I was going to be under. I had heard about postpartum depression and
Yeah.
I never experienced it. I didn't, but I did undergo the baby blues, which is a pretty normal thing that most women do go through, especially after the first baby,
Yeah.
where I would say for the first 2 weeks were the roughest, but it took a couple months for me to be fully
Wow.
back to normal emotionally.
Okay.
I felt a lot of mom guilt. I remember the first day at home, my son had they have the meconium diapers, so their poop is it's tar-like.
Yeah.
And so I went to change his diaper and I noticed that the diaper was sticking to him because of the tar like poop.
Hmm.
Well, I felt such guilt about it, and I went to my room and I was sobbing. I was like, "I'm the worst mom," and my
Oh my
husband was
gosh.
just like laughing at me almost. But and then with breastfeeding too, it's a huge hormonal storm going on
Yeah.
inside of your body with all of that, and I
Yeah.
don't feel like I was fully prepared for that or warned about that. So it's definitely something that people want to keep in mind going into motherhood itself. Just take time for yourself.
Yeah.
Don't put too much pressure on yourself. The house is always going to have some cleaning to be done. There's always going to be food that needs to be cooked. And to all the people who want to support a new mom, take her some food. Don't expect her to host for you.
Yeah.
Don't ask her how the baby's sleeping. I can tell you the baby's not sleeping well. She's not getting enough sleep. She's tired. She's going through an emotional roller coaster. So just
Yeah.
be there. Go grocery shopping for her. Do something that can take something off of her plate and make her feel less overwhelmed. So that's that for the emotional aspect of
Yeah.
it.
So you've been in medical profession before, and from a science point of view, why do you think it happens to all of the women? Like, why do we just start getting like it's a time to be joyous and happy. We have this beautiful, baby that's come out of us. For 9 months, we are like gloating, and then suddenly, boom! You see what I'm saying? So is it like too much hormonal imbalance that happens, or is it like, oh my God, suddenly now I have to do so much? It's what do you think? From a science point of view.
I think it's a combination of both. It's the
Yeah.
stress and the anxiety of having a child that is in your care
Yeah.
and you are responsible for them. But there's definitely the science portion there where your hormones are completely out of whack. I mean, I
Oh,
remember when I was in school learning about pregnancy and delivering a child and developing a child, and I
yeah.
just remember thinking to myself, like, how do so many babies come out normal and healthy because of all the things that can go wrong and
Yeah.
all of the things that come into play.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
body is doing so much, and your placenta is pretty large, and when your
Yeah.
placenta detaches from your uterus,
Yeah.
you have an open wound there. I mean, so you are healing. You
You're
have a
right.
wound
Yeah.
that you need to nurse. I mean, that needs to be healed. So you've got physical stress, emotional stress, and then your hormones are completely out of whack and trying to regulate itself. Your uterus is trying to go back to normal. It takes
Yeah.
hormones for it to get back to normal. A lot of mothers, especially breastfeeding mothers, will experience severe contractions similar to labor pains because your
Oh,
uterus is trying to come back to normal.
okay. Yeah.
So it's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Absolutely. And suddenly you have a the body that you used to carrying the baby, and suddenly it's out of your system, and then this whole emotional, mental, physical, everything combined starts, and then now you have to take care of a little one, like a small, and
Correct.
that's the other
Yes.
thing
Yeah.
too, right?
And then when you're breastfeeding, that's a hormonal, that's a
Yeah.
chemical reaction. I mean,
Yeah.
that it takes hormones to produce milk. It takes hormones to tell your body, hey, we're going to give colostrum to the new baby because that's what the new baby needs. Now it's time to transition to milk. That's what the baby needs at this age and stage. So all of these are hormonal reactions, and your body is just working overtime consistently.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the next issues that you experienced when you were.
So, and then aside from that, physically, like I said, you have a wound that you're mending to. I did a lot of research on postpartum health beforehand, and some things I did before I delivered my baby to ensure like a quick and easy and smooth healing process is I stored a lot of freezer meals
Mm-hmm.
because I know that everyone says, oh, just forget about the house, forget about cooking. That takes a mental toll on me. I feel anxiety when my house is messy. I feel anxiety when, we don't have food. I'm not providing food for my family. So I did a lot of things ahead of time to ensure that my stress level would be as low as physically possible once I delivered the baby. I made some lactation cookies and I stored those in the freezer.
Oh wow.
Um, I also made some bone broth. Bone broth is amazing for postpartum health and uterine health in general.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did is I made the broth. I stored a lot of them in like little mason jars frozen, but I also stored them in like cubes. Like a lot of people store pureed baby food in
Yeah.
those silicone cube containers.
Yeah.
I stored bone broth in those, and I would take a cube out a couple times a day and just defrost it on the stove, and I would drink that. And that helps a lot with postpartum healing too. Aside from that, I used Earth Mama's perinatal spray. That helps a lot with,
Mm-hmm.
if you tear. I did tear with both of my children. One thing that a lot of holistic people recommend is perineal massage.
Okay.
Contrary to popular belief, I don't believe in it. I think that it tears away at the very delicate fibers around the vagina, and I think that's actually more detrimental than helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So I never did. I did that with my first pregnancy, and then once I knew better, I didn't do it again. Things that can help with delivery and prevent tearing is Kegels. Do your Kegels. Do your pelvic floor exercises. I mentioned that last time we were on last week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pelvic floor exercises are huge for just for delivery, for postpartum. You're going to have some leaking. You're going to feel like your bladder is not in control. Those things can be really, really helpful with that.
Oh, great, great. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the breastfeeding part of it. I mean, a lot of women have problems with breastfeeding and issues. So, what kind of foods or what can they do to help make sure that there's adequate supply of milk for the baby?
Well, one thing I want to note before I get into that is that a lot of women think that they're not producing enough milk
Yeah,
in the early stages, the first couple of weeks,
yeah.
and they're not, and that's okay because you're not going to produce enough milk. Your baby's stomach is about this big. You are providing what your baby needs. So
Yeah.
I typically don't start pumping for a while, a couple weeks after the baby once we get established and
Yeah.
I feel more comfortable, then I'll start a pumping routine so that I can build up a freezer stash. But some women will start pumping right away and they'll say, oh, I'm only getting, 0.5 ounces. And I always say that is normal. That's all you need, especially if you're nursing exclusively and then you're pumping on
Mhm.
top of that. You're going to get only 0.5 ounces, and that's completely normal.
I see.
Um, as long as your baby has, wet and poopy diapers and seems to be satisfied, that's all that matters. I would not supplement with formula. If you are adamant about breastfeeding, try to avoid formula as much as you can, because it's supply and demand. So once you do that, you're telling your body that your baby doesn't need it. So you're not going to be producing what your baby does actually need. So just stick to it. Persevere. The first 3 months are the hardest, and then it gets easy. It gets easier than formula. And then, nutrition wise, protein, carbs make your milk fatty. stay hydrated. That's very important too.
Yes.
It's normal to experience dips in your supply about every 3 months, I would say. About the 12-week mark, the 6-month mark, and the 9-month mark are when I always experience dips. Again, that's normal. Every breastfeeding mom is going to question if she's producing enough milk. It's just natural. Everyone is going to. But I can assure you, if your baby has wet and poopy diapers, even if you're concerned about baby's weight, both of my kids were always so low on the curve, but they were going up the curve, they were, but they're just small children. It's a genetic thing. I didn't let that discourage me. I persevered, and I ended up breastfeeding both of my kids for over a year.
Wow, that's amazing. So what kind of diet did you do for 1 year? That's a pretty long time. But how did you keep yourself, like make sure that you are taking the right diet? So let's talk about you, about your diet now.
Yeah, so I tried, as usual, even when I'm not breastfeeding, even when I'm not pregnant, I try to maintain a healthy balance of fat, protein, and carbs. So I aim to get in as many nutrients as physically possible in one day. I still took my prenatal vitamins while I was nursing. And some foods that are said to increase milk supply are oats, almonds, fatty things like that. I did a lot of healthy oils, coconut oil, olive oil. Olive oil, and then avocado oil. And I tried to consume avocados on the daily also, and spinach. Those things are going to be really, what you consume is going to go through you to your breast milk. I also would take vitamin C, because that goes through to your breast milk as well, especially during like sick season. Your baby's going to get that vitamin C also. So the supplements that you take can transfer to baby also.
So vitamin C supplements, but not the orange, right?
Oh yeah, and everyone who's been following me for a while knows that I'm a huge advocate of getting nutrients from food. So yeah, I definitely have a diet rich in vitamin C, but ascorbic acid, which is a synthetic vitamin C, it is synthetic, but you will not reach therapeutic levels of vitamin C if you take whole food sources of vitamin C. So I'm a big advocate for ascorbic acid, as long as it's a good quality one, as long as it's not, GMO corn or added sugars. If it's a good quality one, you can actually reach great heights in your health with it.
Wow, that's great. All right. What else would you like to add?
In terms of postpartum health, I would say listen to your body. Don't you take it easy. A lot of people say to rest, and then other people say to get up and move. I say you need a healthy balance and listen to your body. If you're someone who was active before and working out before, give yourself a little bit of rest time, but when you feel ready, go ahead and get back at it. Slowly. Don't just jump right into it. But it's a lot of listening to your body and making sure that you're doing what your body can handle, and stopping when your body is telling you to stop.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was actually, I forgot about the exercise part, but that's good that you mentioned it. Like, take it slow and maybe get into yoga, I think, or some physical, like more aerobic exercises, and that's fine after some time.
So again, you're healing from a wound, so you want to take it easy with lifting heavy weights. Yoga would be a good option. It depends on what do you prefer? What were you doing before? What is your body used to? I would definitely not recommend jumping into weight training right away postpartum. I would wait for the okay for your doctor around like 6 weeks. Maybe some very, very light weights, or like, those ankle and wrist weighted bracelets. That might be a good option. It's good to stay active though. You want to get that blood flowing. You don't want to just sit and stay stagnant, because you can clot, or you can, you want to heal. You need that for healing.
Absolutely. Well, anyone has any comments or questions, if you can't think of them right now, you're welcome to post it. There's a lot of information Rachel is sharing with us, and it can be, overwhelming to digest if you're pregnant or if you just delivered a baby. You're welcome to reach out to us, and we'll be covering these type of topics in future. Give us the feedback. Any last comments from you, Rachel, before we wrap up today?
I think that's it. But again, please feel free to DM me or leave a comment below, and we'll definitely be answering any questions that come through.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so
much.
All
right.
And have
thank
a great
you.
weekend.
Bye-bye. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.